Okay, so 33, I think everybody had enough time to join, so let's start. So welcome everybody. My name is Dirk Krol. I'm the Executive Director of Water Europe, and it's my pleasure to welcome you at this edition of Water Projects Europe, which is dedicated to building a water smart and resilient Europe and building on two very interesting projects, the CIRSEAU project and the Boost-in project. As you may know, Boostin works on the ground, empowering local and regional actors with the tools, skills, and networks needed to implement water smart solutions. And in parallel, CIRSEAU focuses on the big picture, helping to redesign governance models and enable cross-sectoral collaboration and create the policy conditions for transformative change. Now, it is a real pleasure for me to be able to open this session, particularly also as both projects, I would say, in one way or another, feedback to the 2019 call on building a water smart society and economy, which was then launched and as a direct, I would say, output of our recently published vision for a water smart society and now also economy. And I'm also very glad to see that this narrative continues to have a strong impact also now in the recently released water resilience strategy of the European Commission, where that narrative has also been taken up both from the societal part and the economical part. So in that sense, you could say um, both CIRSEAU and Boostin are part of a now established tradition embedded in a very strong narrative for building a water smart society and economy. Um, well, um, Water Projects Europe is a series of events organized regularly by Water Europe to bring different projects together on a similar theme to take the outputs of these projects either in the direction of policy making or concrete solutions on the ground. And I think in that sense, we have established already a very nice program for this session, which will now start with an opening keynote by Bertrand Vallet on boosting Europe's water resilience through multi-level systematic innovation. Bertrand, please take it away.
Thank you very much, Dirk. So yes, indeed, my name is Bertrand Vallet. I'm a policy officer in DG RTD. In the unit Ocean, Seas and Water, so very dedicated to water topics. Let me share my screen. Do you see it? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I was asked to explain a bit how we could boost Europe water resilience with multi-level systemic innovation. I think the two projects that we are very self-explanatory on why this is important. So I will come back a bit in the history of why we fund this topic, so you can understand how this systemic innovation was perceived at the time. And then I will also present a bit what we see in the water resilience that can be connected to this as illustration also for this multi-level and systemic approach. So what the two projects or the topic that was drafted to reward Boostin and CIRSEAU is coming from the long heritage of Horizon 2020, where we develop a lot of we had to develop a lot of technologies and ways of recover material from the water sector, from wastewater mainly. But we had nutrient recovery, energy recovery, water reuse, also different type of materials, and we also addressed governance. So all these topics that you can see in this yellow circle, this is all the projects that have been funded under Horizon 2020 that are related somehow to circular economy. And now that we had this, there was also a workshop in 2019 from the IWA that ended up with a certain recommendation that we wanted to apply. So develop a certification scheme and standardization, having a cross-sector collaboration of industrial symbiosis, work on end-of-waste criteria, involve all the value chain actors, involve also the legislation with the Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive, look at how the materials that have been recovered can be reused on the ground. So just not recover them, but also find ways to reuse them. And also some recommendation for the sludge use. So you can see that to mobilize all this, we need to have really a systemic approach to the circular economy in water, and this is why we designed this call. So to have this uptake of this systemic solution with all the recovered product that can be recovered, the business model that are associated to them, having also the possibility to remove these barriers and create a level playing field for these resources. And all this is also passing by the change of the perception and the behavior of the population, of the actors, the policy actors also, which will come from collaboration and knowledge, and also dissemination of skills, education programs, so that we can. This is really the system that need to be changed so that we can have this uptake of circular economy and being able to exploit the maximum of the resources. So on the scope side, on the right side of the slide, you have all what was asked. So looking at digital business model, having having a market uptake, also looking at explore what should be done to maximize the impact in terms of social, environmental, and economic aspects. Work on the standardization, which was also a request in the IWA conference, and all what is addressing perception, having this part in the increasing the awareness from the citizen and the different actors. There is also the program of education and training. You will see later on that this is also important in the water resilience, and working on EU harmonized end-of-waste criteria. For the moment, the end-of-waste criteria are mainly at member states level, except for the fertilizing product regulation that creates one at EU level. But this needs to be better addressed, and we need to explore how to do this. So this was the objective of the project. And as Dirk said, we have now this narrative relayed in the water resilience strategy. And this is also one of the objectives of the water resilience strategy, is to create this momentum and having this change in Europe to be able to expand the impact of water and the resilience of water and the security for access to water and sanitation. And this is what I will explain a bit. So the objective of the water resilience is restoring and protecting the water cycle, building water smart EU economy, and ensuring clean and affordable water and sanitation for all. And you see that in purple, you have 5 enablers that have been defined in the strategy. So there is an aspect of governance and implementation, investment and infrastructure, digitalization, innovation and industry, and security. And if we manage to do all this, we will be able to transfer it at a global level. So we have also a part that is looking at global actions. So this is the narrative around the objective. We need to act on land in order to restore the water cycle. So having this interaction between blue, green water, having this source to sea approach. So trying to control the evolution of the water from the source to sea. We need to address pollution. So we have the nutrient pollution. We have emerging also pollution that are also the emerging contaminants. And this is where also it impacts the circular economy, because if we have pollution, if we have remaining contaminants, it will be more difficult to address this. So there is some actions. The main important one for the purpose of today is looking at a public-private initiative on PFAS remediation. So we will try to develop this. We will also propose toolbox for nutrient pollution to reduce. Here again, nutrient pollution is also reusing some of the nutrients. If we manage to do that, we will decrease the impact of nutrient pollution, not on the use side, but at least we have an avenue for we have another avenue than spreading on land and potentially contaminate groundwater. And there is also the aspect of developing water scarcity indicators. Here we can think about water reuse, how we can, with these scarcity indicators, we can also trigger the water in another direction. We also look at create a real water smart economy, which is very important to have a society that is aware of what is happening with water. So we need to increase. Water is important for competitiveness. We need to link it to the price. We need to have a more efficient use of water and energy that are interlinked, and also look at the agriculture. Overall, the water resilience strategy proposes to enhance water efficiency by at least 10% by 2030. This is actions also at member state level. And we had, alongside with the water resilience strategy, the proposal for a recommendation for water efficiency first principle that you have an illustration on the right side of the slide. So we first need to reduce the demand, enhance water efficiency, reuse water when possible, and at the end, if all these have been addressed and we still lack, maybe look for increase the supply with alternative water resources. So there will be a plan to support water reuse, which is clearly linked to the projects. The recommendation for the water efficiency first principle, as I said, working on leakage reduction, which might impact also with less water. We will have better concentrated effluent and maximizing the recovery of resources. We also work, and this is more on the greenhouse gas side, try to minimize the impact of the data center, because if we manage, for the water, it's to reduce the impact on water, because we use a lot of water for cooling. Here, there is something that is definitely need to be definitely looked at also with the project, how we can enhance this with the water reuse, maybe potentially. In securing clean and affordable water for all, so the third objective, there is a lot to do to work on the consumer and the way they use the water, how the water is looked at for housing and city planning, and also a work on pricing and increasing the water awareness for the public. So there are multiple actions that are foresees in the water resilience strategy that we will need to develop and put in place in the future. I think the key point here is also the enhancement of the involvement of consumer, how they can better use their water that is related to also water efficiency, which is the objective before. Some of the actions that we looked at in terms of for the enablers. So we want to implement having a better implementation and governance. So this needs to pass by a structured dialogue with member states, better enhance the transboundary cooperation, and also having tools to be developed for member states to better understand how they can plan to have less impact on water. We have a key here point on finance, investment, and infrastructure. We need to have to curb the lack of investment that we have in our infrastructure. And here there will be development plan and support plan program developed by the EIB, the European Investment Bank, of 15 billion between 25 and 27 to help member states to invest wisely in their infrastructure. And we have other, like, also what is important, I think, for research and innovation and to address this systemic approach is to have the establishment of a water resilient accelerator. The idea is to have 20 pilots where we can demonstrate innovation a bit in the spirit of Living Labs, but that also attract, and this is the main objective, attract private funding in the deployment of innovative solution. So this is one aspect also to address this funding gap. Digitalization, we need to improve this. There will be an initiative on smart metering to better collect information, also having the Copernicus products that are more accessible for related to water, and an action plan on digitalization. On the right side, you see this connection in between different aspects that shows also in the digital world that systemic approach is important between satellites, insight monitoring, and the different tools that we use to connect those. In terms of research and innovation, we will develop a water resilience strategy. Here we will have a process. So the plan is to develop it by 2026. So we will have a iterative process with different, at least in our mind so far, with different consultation phase. So we will definitely come to the project, to the stakeholders, to see how we can enhance this. The objective is to really have a long-term vision on research for water in order to be able to both for the research community to see where we are going, and also to be sure to address and prioritize the key elements that needs to be addressed in terms of research and innovation. We were talking it at the beginning, and the systemic innovation required to have a transfer of skills. So there will be a European Water Academy. This is more on the side of the Joint Research Center. And the KIC Water that is also planned, that will have a role alongside other tools like the mission or the partnerships. And then we have still 2 slides. So protecting the critical water infrastructure. It's very nice to build nice infrastructure, but if they cannot resist the first event and the coming one, because as you see in the last bullet, there is the plan for a climate adaptation plan related to water. We need to make our infrastructure stronger, more resilience to problems and emerging risks coming from climate and pollution. Otherwise, we will never achieve the objectives. And finally, all this needs to be also transferred around the globe. So we have a global gateway that allow the transfer of this principle to so for the moment, mainly Africa and Asia, but we need to really work on this to make the world more water resilient also, and transfer this principle. So in conclusion, I would say that this systemic approach that the EU water resilience propose resonate a lot with CIRSEAU and Boostin. That Boostin as the CIRSEAU and Boostin have the key elements to address some of the points of better water reuse, reuse of water, reuse of materials. These are aligned with the three objectives of the water resilience strategy. What is proposed in the strategy is also needs to get inspired by the project, and we will make sure that this is the case, and the work of today is part of this. And finally, the strategy is, as I said, needs to get the inspiration from the different projects, different researcher, to together pave the way for a more water resilience Europe for the long term. And I think this is, I'm sorry, I was a bit long, I think, but I wanted to show all the aspects of the water resilience strategy.
Thank you so much, Mr. Great presentation, great insights. Today we have the opportunity of gathering two projects which really can support a lot the achievement of the goals of the water resilience strategy to achieve a water smart economy and society. I think that it is important that today we are able to debate, to discuss, and to extract from the two projects, their main features and characteristics and how they can really work together and create the synergies. Because now, with the driver of the water resilience strategy, I think that it will be even better, even I don't say easier, but synergy between these two projects can really build a brilliant pathway for a water smart economy and society. So now we start, entering into the deep of the projects, and say we have the CIRSEAU and the Boostin. Water Europe is proudly part of both projects, and we contribute in different part of them. Now to start the project, I'd like me to give the floor to my colleague Alessandro Argo, who will introduce the speakers and the sessions. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Andrea, for the word. Yes, now we will start with the project sessions. We will start with the first project, which is CIRSEAU. And as the first speaker, we have Frank Rogalla from Aqualia that will give an overview on the project.
Great, so it's already my turn. Thank you so much. I'm Frank from Aqualia. Aqualia, as you know, is a small water company that serves about 45 million people. And we are very privileged to be coordinating this CIRSEAU project. As you can see, CIRSEAU is actually inspired by Circe. It's a Greek goddess that transformed things with her magic. And since she was Greek, we have to remind us today that it's actually the 23rd of June when the Olympic movement was created in 1894, 131 years already. And today we're all working together to become faster and better in this competition and also work together. As you know, the main motto of the Olympic Games is participating is all, not so much winning, but the joy of being together for a common goal. Circe, as you can see, captures what Dirk Roll was introducing, the circular smart economy for water. And we have 10 powerful partners here, Water Europe being one of them. But it is mainly formed among the 5 projects that were part of this call that Dirk mentioned in 2019 that materialized the vision of Water Europe for smart water economy. And we had these 5 big projects, each one about 5 years long. Actually, ours, Rewise, where Aqualia is leading, is still in its last year because it was so ambitious to bring really new technologies into the market, demonstrated on a significant scale, and show how water can be used more efficiently. the wonderful thing of bringing together these five big projects is we already have 143 partners in over 20 countries that work together with this goal on smart water economy. We even have 2 countries that are not part of the EU that wider uptake had in Ghana and water mining had in India. But from that, we have a very rich background of 35 case studies where we could show that technologies would bring better use of water, better recovery of resources, and see how we can engage stakeholders to overcome any obstacles that might hinder this implementation of the new ideas. We therefore had 5 working groups that analyzed the products and try to communicate the results, try to engage the stakeholders, try to assess how does these solutions really improve the KPIs, the key project indicators, and what policies can we then recommend out of this. All that with a twist that we, of course, wanted to prepare the future and involve the young water professionals. Here you can see a quick overview of the partners. We have those 10 partners, the Greeks obviously playing a role with NTUA. Dimitris will also talk to you later, even though he works for TU Delft. You can see here that Aqualia itself brings about 5 different countries where we operate in Europe. We also operate in 13 other countries in the Mediterranean or in South America. The important thing is also that we bring on board not only water companies, but Euro. Euro is the federation of all the water associations in Europe from 33 countries. Therefore, all the water companies that form these water associations are represented. And I think that is the important thing here, that we're not only on an academic level, but really trying to bring the knowledge and the solutions into the field and apply them in reality. Of course, the objectives are very, very ambitious to change the perceptions of water, that water is actually the most valuable good. Nobody can survive without water for 3 days, for more than 3 days. Yet people don't know how much they pay and they say it's too expensive. Everybody pays for cell phones or for television services like Netflix. And those bills are much higher than the water bill, yet people say, why should I pay for water because it's free? Not realizing how important this infrastructure is, how difficult it is to build and maintain, and therefore it should be a significant portion of your income that you dedicate to this vital resource that you cannot live without. That's part of the perception change, that we need to value water much better. And I think that's also one of the main mantras of Water Europe, to emphasize the value of water in our lives, in the economy, and in society. But we have, of course, social barriers. We have lots of traditions. We have 2,000 years of history on how we deal with this water, that we actually bring clean water into the cities just to shit on it and flush out our garbage, which actually is not a very smart way to do things, that we have this 150 liters of very clear and potable water made to the highest standards of the EU, and only maybe 10, 20, 30% really needs to be drinkable. All the rest might not be that relevant, that the quality is that high. And therefore, we also need to be flexible in the technical solutions that we implement. Therefore, the circular economy, I think, is very important, that we can extract value from water and that we can, of course, reuse wherever possible if we bring the water close to the user, and therefore avoid any pollution. So those are the main objectives of CIRSEAU: to avoid pollution, be more efficient, and of course have value from water, both in the products that you can generate, energy, nutrients, the business that you can generate with new pumps, new valves, new smart control systems, and of course then improve the health and the well-being of society as well. We try to do it methodologically with these 5 different aspects of analyzing what is the issue, how can we overcome it, where there are obstacles, therefore engage anybody who can help us to overcome these obstacles, propose the ideas and the policies that bring us forward, and then spread, of course, whatever good results we can. and then that's build this permanent ecosystem, which in the end is the objective of CIRSEAU, to have a permanent body that can help, just like Water Europe helps, just like Euro helps, have these all federated with one direction. We build on many, many projects. We mentioned, of course, the 5 core projects that are part of the CIRSEAU project, but also each of the partners brings in a lot of projects. Aqualia itself has participated in more than 20 Horizon projects, and each of those has, of course, a key exploitable result that we want to bring to practice. And Water Europe, for instance, participates in 40 projects. Each of those also we need to mine the ideas, the solutions, and bring them forward to the market. Like in one of our projects in Redesigning, we already work with new membranes made in Denmark, not Japanese or American solutions, but European products that we try to implement in our operations. Aqualia has about 1,000 different plants, and in a handful of those, we already use these new Danish membranes, and therefore we also already have market impact. We could actually sell these membranes to certain clients in various of these sites where we piloted before in the Rewise project. Similarly, we do have from other projects, like we had a big microbial desalination project where we developed a new magic box all the way to full scale, where you can actually use wastewater as a source for desalination, as an energy source, the carbon, and not use electricity to desalinate. So in one little magic box, you put in dirty water, you put in salt water, and at the end you have clean water and desalinated water. And that is one project that we brought all the way to demonstration scale in about 10 years. And now we have industrial prototypes operating both in Tenerife and Denia with this MEDAS project, which is already recognized as one new solution that might help in certain water scarce areas, maybe in hotels, in islands, in boats, to be independent of energy and water. And talking about energy, we also have another big new process that might be worthwhile examining, also with bioelectrochemistry. And that here you can see that there was a sequence of projects that developed it, because you normally it takes 10 years to bring a system from bench scale all the way to prototype and demo scale, to go through these all the different TRLs. And in Ultimate, one of the core projects, we could then demonstrate this last phase in a brewery in a real setting to show that it was a full-scale solution. So that is what we try to identify in each project, this key solution that we then can promote with the right policies, with the right stakeholders, with the right educational program. And those are the 7 main ideas that we have. Therefore, we have 7 main work packages in our project, although it's multiplied by 2 because we have 2 18-month periods where we try to mobilize the stakeholders so that we can bring the products to market. We can promote the policies that make it possible. We can educate the people in the right way. And of course, demonstrate not only in real life, but also through the right communication program, how this can help in being smart with digital solutions, in being circular with water reuse and recovery of energy, nutrients, or brine mining being the other option, that you can actually harvest the salts that you recover from desalination. But communication is the main feature of all this, and therefore I will pass the word now to Itzia, who is doing this job for us from Income. Itzia, are you ready?
Yes, thank you very much, Frank. So if you can go to the next slide, please.
Of course.
Okay. So as Frank was saying, in Europe, we have a big water ecosystem. We have a lot of actors and a lot of stakeholders that are key to achieve a water smart society and economy. And it's really, really important to engage them. So stakeholder engagement is a very, very, very big pillar in CIRSEAU. CIRSEAU is a coordinated and support action, and it's funded aiming at achieving this circular water economy across Europe. So to achieve this, we need to engage relevant stakeholders that can properly address complex socioeconomic challenges and drive this circular water economy transition. So in order to achieve this, we have two ways of achieving this. First is knowledge co-creation. As Frank was saying, we have a lot of projects in Europe developing a lot of innovation, and we need this innovation to reach the right stakeholders and the right people so it's known and these solutions can be implemented. This takes time. So we need knowledge integration and combine this diverse knowledge through different solutions. So as you see, stakeholder engagement is really fundamental to address this complex socio-economic transition. And what we do with CIRSEAU is that 5 projects, Big Water Smart, Reways, Ultimate, Wider Uptake, and Water Minding. These projects, most of them have already finished. Rewise is still active. These projects, they already developed a lot of solutions and a lot of innovation to achieve this water smart society that we're talking about. And CIRSEAU is putting all of these solutions together and is trying to making them known by the right stakeholders. So what we do, Frank, can you go to the next slide, please?
Yes, I'll try. Let's see. Doesn't move. Why doesn't it move? There we go.
Thank you. Okay, so how are we going to achieve these solutions to reach the right people? We have developed these 5 working groups. So the first one is business development and market uptake. This working group is trying to leverage these solutions that the projects created already and making them known. Of course, impact assessment to establish a method to assess the social, environmental, and economic impacts of project results. Policy and long-term impact to inform and influence at an EU level about the policy, legislative development, and funding priorities. Of course, education and training. Dimitris is going to talk to us about this later in more detail. Communication and dissemination. So basically, these working groups were established already in the cluster of CIRSEAU, of these 5 projects I talked to you about before. The one that we are missing here is the young water professionals, but it's included in the education and training. So with these working groups that you can join by scanning the QR in your screen, what we're trying is to involve the most part of stakeholders possible, because as I said before, in Europe we have a very big water ecosystem with many relevant actors from many different fields. So it's very difficult to implement innovation if we don't have a lot of actors involved, and we need people from the policy point of view, utilities, we need, of course, the European Commission, the European Union, we need NGOs, we need the general public, because we are trying here to change the perception of people about water, about reusing water, about innovation, and this takes time. As Frank said before, the TRLs of projects take time to develop pilots, and then these solutions, they have to be implemented in real life, and people have to accept them and make them in their daily life. So with these working groups, what we're trying is to involve the more people, the better, to create relevant body that stays after CIRSEAU. So what we're trying is to involve the most people, the better, to make innovation known and to make this water economy and society. So if you are interested in any of these working groups, you can scan the QR code that is here in the screen, and you can collaborate with us and try to make these solutions and these innovations known. Please, Frank, can you go to the next slide? Okay, and how are you going to make this known? So I like to try to explain communication, dissemination, and protection in a funny way. So basically, it's like if we were baking a cake. So communication, which is the first stage of a project, is making the idea, the goals, and the progress of the project known by everybody, but by many different audiences. And of course, if we have results, communicate them. Then dissemination is is like the recipe. So how did we do this? How did we do this innovation? How is the process? How is the exact recipe, the exact ingredients? So basically, how does the innovation work, and in exact terms, number terms? And then comes the exploitation. Are we going to sell this? Are we going to make a patent? Are we going to commercialize it or exploit it? How are we going to do it? So CIRSEAU is a bit of a special project because we are, at the moment, we have the results of 5 previous projects, so we don't start from zero. We already have pilots and 35 case studies from many countries, which are working already in real life. So of course we are communicating, but we're also disseminating results that came before, and we are helping them to be exploited at the moment. So it's not like these 5 projects ended. They are still ongoing because we are trying to communicate, disseminate, and exploit these results after the projects have ended. Can you go to the next slide, Frank, please? Okay, so at the moment, we are focusing a lot on the communication of the project by expanding our community, nurturing our challenge with content, of course, spreading the working groups. We are trying to contact and have interactions with other European projects, and of course, supporting the engagement of relevant stakeholders. So if you want to take part in our community, which is meant to be very large and very full of relevant stakeholders and people, you can follow us in our channels, and of course, join the working groups. Can you go to the next slide?
Yeah, and of course, well, I think the questions come later now.
Well, just in case. Okay. So go to the next slide.
Yeah, we want to, of course, be very grateful for this opportunity, especially to be together here with Boostin. And I think Alessandro will make that connection.
Yes, sure. But before there is the session. I mean, first of all, thank you very much for your presentation, Isiar and Frank. And we will now go over the next presentation, which is from TU Delft, with Dimitris Xavgenos and Abubakar Bilyaminu, that will go over the outcomes from previous projects and also update on our Congress.
Thank you very much, Alessandro. Do you hear me well?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Great. So let me share my screen, or at least try to. Right. So I hope you can see my presentation and not my desktop.
Yes. Wonderful.
Super. Great. So
yes.
I am Dimitris Xavgenos. Very good pronunciation, Alessandro, my last name, which is a difficult one. I am the Scientific Innovation Manager of the CIRSEAU project, sorry, not cluster there, and I'm helping the technical coordination team. So I will speak about the Congress and about the water mining project, the one of the 5, which I was an executive coordinator for this project. Now, a couple of slides for water mining. So water mining has been completed since December 2024. The title you can see here, Next Generation Water Smart Management Systems, Large-Scale Demonstrations for a Circular Economy and Society. It was a huge project. I'm happy that it was completed successfully. 19 million euro, 39 partners and 6 case studies. Here you can see our partners. There are a lot of partners that contributed to this success. Now, very quickly, the water mining had 6 case studies, as I told you, and we had 3 main lines of demonstrations and research: water as a resource, water as a consumable, and water as a durable goods. And this was then translated into sea mining for seawater desalination, urban mining for urban wastewater, and industrial mining for industrial wastewater. And you can see here on the right-hand side the case studies. So for sea mining, we had 1 in Italy, 1 in Spain. For urban mining, we had those 4 here, which is in the Netherlands, Portugal, Cyprus, and Spain. And for industrial mining, we had the Netherlands and the Indian case study that Frank said in the beginning. So what I'm just going to show to you is that at the very end of the project, what we did is that we said, okay, we have all these case studies beautifully, but let's now try to see for a full-scale implementation, if we get those 3 different groups into one place, and that place is Cyprus, what will happen? So we made a full-scale implementation study on how this would look like for the case of Cyprus. These are some pictures of the three case studies that we looked into and when we did the full-scale implementation in Cyprus. And what we wanted to address in Cyprus is the water resilience part through circularity. If you check now, this Sankey diagram that we have done is the caustic soda supply to Cyprus. And in Cyprus, you have 100% dependence on caustic soda from external imports. As you can see here, the different countries. So we said, okay, why don't we do this locally from seawater? So here are some results from that. We checked how we can recover 4,000 tons of caustic soda, and that would be not only for the desalination part, which I say here, a circular desalination, but also for the urban wastewater treatment. And why is that? Because in the case studies that we had with Nereda, the aerobic granular sludge technology, is that if we would use the Nereda sludge, we could save approximately 30 million cubic meters per year in Cyprus. And we based that on some demonstration that we had in Portugal on how we can apply this sludge and how we can save those cubic meters. Coupling circular desalination with waste heat recovery in Vasilikos was important so that we can have this decarbonization of the whole process. We checked how we can protect the marine health. We got the first publication award from the European Desalination Society because we mapped the actual impacts on Posidonia oceanica in the island. And we are developing a master plan for water resilience and security through circularity for Cyprus, and I will get back to that later on after the Congress. Maybe you have seen this picture. So these are the 35 case studies of CIRSEAU. So now I'm zooming out from water mining and I'm going to CIRSEAU. And I will speak about the Congress that happened between 25th and 28th of May in Rotterdam. These were the 8 keynote speakers that we had. We were very, very happy to have people from science, really top scientists like Mark van Loostrecht, Kees Bausman, and Menachem Elimelech. From policy, of course, Paul Webb was there, Andrea Rubini from Water Europe, Trudy Higgins from DG Environment, Errol Kavus from United Nations Environment Program, and I also spoke there. And in the opening panel of Monday, Paul kicked off, and then we had a very nice panel discussion, and we were very happy to have more than 100 participants in the Congress. And here is a picture of the panel. And what we spoke about is especially these funding opportunities. So we tried to map the different funding instruments of the European Commission in this hype cycle. If you don't know, the hype cycle is how you can get an idea to the market. You start with innovation trigger, peak of inflated expectations, trough of disillusionment, slope of enlightenment, and plateau of productivity. And then we said that Horizon Europe has different instruments throughout. Then we spoke about the EIT KIC programs. We had Ingrid Rigler from the DG EAC that day. And that is also super important because we just had the water KIC that was announced and now has been closed. We spoke about the LIFE program and the close to market, especially action. And of course, towards the market about EIB loans, structural funds, etc. So we have a complete spectrum of different funding instruments, and we discuss what are the barriers and how those instruments can really help forward. Here you can see the participants 100 plus from where we had from the different type of organizations. A lot of them were from research, but we had some industry, EU institution, some SMEs, startuppers, and student or young professionals. Now, if we go a little bit into the agenda and what were the workshops that we did, from the first day, we had 2 workshops related to CIRSEAU. One was the EU Life Close to Market and Horizon projects. So actually what we did is that we had selected 4 very promising projects, and we made a competition, and the first one took a prize of €1,000 after pitching to real investors. So this is very, very important, and we had the support also from the LIFE program, and I'm very grateful to them for that. We also had the capacity building and education CIRSEAU workshop. What is also interesting in this case is that we launched that day the working group around education and young water professionals, as Ithiar mentioned in her presentation. And on the second day, on Tuesday, we had another 2 workshops. One was about the smart policy integration, and the other was about sustainability impact assessment. And in the smart policy integration, we launched the policy and long-term impact working group. I think I have, a barcode that we released that day so that people could really join. And we had already more than 20, 25, I don't remember how many people have joined already. And some pictures from that day. This is the competition for the LIFE projects and the Horizon Europe projects. And here with Christina, we just launched the policy and long-term impact working group. Now, next year, we're going to Cyprus. So I just returned from Cyprus, and I had a very nice meeting with the minister and with your team on the 19th of June. I'm very, very happy to announce this already from this opportunity. We're going to Cyprus. There is also the opportunity of the Cyprus EU presidency. The actual date for the Congress next year is not known yet, but stay in touch and you can, I can let you know. So see you next year in Cyprus. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dimitris, for your presentation. Now we will go to the next project, which is Boostin. And as the first session of this for this project, we will have Rafael Casielles, which is one of the coordinators, to give an overview on the project and its objectives.
Good. Thank you, Alessandro. Can you hear me well?
Yes, perfectly.
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen. 1 second. Okay, can you see?
Yes, perfect.
Good. Okay, so the Boostin project, it's the sister project of CIRSEAU. We were funded in the same topic, and I would say that the title it's self-explanatory. It's boosting the uptake of innovative solutions in the context of water and circular economy. So the idea behind our project is that there are many good innovations, research outcomes with the potential to reach the market and make the water sector more circular and resilient. But many of these research results are not implemented, are not adopted, because there are barriers in place for which the researchers and innovators are not well prepared, or they don't have the sufficient tools, skills, instruments to make this final step towards implementation and adoption. So we thought that having a more coordinated strategy between experts in different fields could help these innovators to reach the market. The Boostin project was it's a coordination and support action, so we are not developing new knowledge. We are working with existing knowledge in different types of initiatives. We have 12 different partners, having Biosul as the coordinator. We are an SME technological consultancy, so our perspective, the perspective of SMEs, we are very close to innovation and very familiar with these barriers that innovators have to reach the market. And our consortium combines different skills and types of entities with academic partners, but also companies. So with all this expertise, we expect to provide this type of support that is needed for water and circular innovators. We also bring a good bunch of projects that we have participated in the last years, but I would say that our approach is more to go beyond the projects in which we have participated, try to have more intensive contact with the ecosystem, with the innovation landscape in the water sector, and engage them to enlarge our community, but also to provide tailored support according to their needs. This is like the core of our strategy in Boostin. So our project, it's built on the specific barriers we have identified for the water sector in terms of advancing to a more circular and smart society. We identified barriers of different nature, so it's really a complex and multidisciplinary problem. Starting with the technology barrier, there is a need of technologies that provide cost-effective solutions for circular products, which are really struggling in the market compared to traditional, conventional, and linear solutions. Circular solutions have more problems to reach the market. One of them is the cost. We need to provide solutions which are trusted by companies, by water utilities. So this is not increasing very much the cost of treating water, for example, of valorizing or upgrading byproducts or different waste streams. And we need technologies, and we need to advance these technologies in the readiness level. So we want to support this. We want to also address the economic barrier. Sometimes innovators are not sufficiently well connected with the market landscape, and here it's important that problem owners and innovators really connect, really know each other, and are aware of the needs of one another. So this is also something we have in mind. It's also important the knowledge and perception barriers. Also, the public, the general public, sometimes perceive circular products are products with less quality, with maybe can be contaminated. This is something we have seen very much in the water reuse sector, where in many occasions consumers are reluctant to consume food products irrigated with reclaimed water. So we need to address these social barriers. Policies are also important. We have definitely very good strategies at EU level, but sometimes their adoption at national level, it's not so effective. So we need also to promote adequate instruments at a national or regional or even local level, because this is the level where the innovations will be implemented, and we need to have appropriate coordination between all these actors to have more impact. So yeah, having this in mind, we try to define strategy and actions at different levels. So with the technology barrier, we started with an in-depth scouting exercise to identify which are the innovations with more potential to address all the problems and to provide the circular approach. We also have, after this scouting, the idea was to provide different types of activities adapted to the specific technologies. So for some selected technologies, we are developing an impact assessment. For us, it's very important that the benefits of circular economy is better understood. And for that, we need to have some qualitative and quantitative impact assessment, so these benefits are properly characterized, and also creating a narrative which is evidence-based to promote circular products. So that was important for us. With regarding to the mindset, we are providing roadmaps and action plans to address these perception barriers, and we will work with the perceptions we have identified for some of these technologies scouted in specific regions that I will mention later. Yeah, policy is very important. As I said, we need to define plans, strategies, and instruments are more regional and local level for removing this barrier. Sometimes there are, for example, with water reuse, we have experienced in South Spain the problem with licensing. It's sometimes authorities are not well equipped or have some reluctancy to provide like a fluent, smooth process because they are very conservative about the risks. And risk management in this sense is also very important. We have guidelines for risk management in water reuse from the Commission, but this needs to be translated, and we need to build on existing practices which are probably not sufficiently spread or known. And this is part of the work we want to do. And finally, regarding market, we need to delve into existing business models that can be appropriate for circular innovators in the water sector. And we will do a specific and tailored mentoring to some selected innovators to help them in this journey to reach the market, as well as a specific matchmaking to connect technology providers with the problem owners. This is the strategy. How we perform this, taking into account the big landscape of water and circular solutions. So we are following what we call a funnel model approach. So the idea is, okay, start in the first phases, trying to cover as much as possible the water sector. So our scouting is initially based on at least 500 solutions. These are the solutions that we are exploring, identifying, see if they fit or not with our criteria. And finally, from these 500, we will build a database of 200 WASES. WASES is the acronym for Water and Circular Economy Solutions. So we want to provide this database to allow this innovators to be more visible, to be showcased through our different dissemination activities. But moreover, we will select some of them to provide, as I said before, some tailored support. So for 24 of these WASES, of these water and circular economy solutions, we will select case studies and perform a specific and tailored social and policy analysis. For 30 solutions, we will conduct impact assessment. For 10 solutions, we will conduct business models. And also, it's very important in our project that we are building on the existing Water Europe marketplace, which is already a platform to promote water products, solutions, and technologies. So we want to enhance this platform with the skills and experience of the consortium to increase the number of, to enlarge this marketplace, increasing the number of innovators, but also to allow with a specific functionality to facilitate this matchmaking that we believe is very important. Yeah, also something important of the boosting project is the regional approach. We will focus on specific regions where we have identified also specific challenges or sectors that we think are relevant in the water and circular economy. We start with Germany, with Lower Saxony, where we will focus on nutrient and energy recovery. In Bretagne and Pays de la Loire, we will focus on indirect potable reuse. In Andalusia and also in Emilia-Romagna, we will focus on water reuse for irrigation. In Bulgaria, we will, sorry, I'm having problems with the screen. Okay, yeah. In Shred-Gorgi, sorry if there is any Bulgarian in the audience for my pronunciation, we will focus on metal recovery from mining and wastewater. And in Greece, in the Peloponnese region, we will focus on industrial water and material reuse. So also this tailored support that I mentioned, we will have this regional scope and taking into account these specific challenges. Now we are getting to the end of the first period. So some first insights or outcomes from this first period. We have a first identified and characterized innovators, a first version of our database with 150 innovators that we engage with them through a call for applicants to provide support, and we have already some contact to get valuable information and to provide this tailored support through interviews, through questionnaires. We have also conducted one workshop in each of these regions of opportunity to address public perception. We also have performed a market landscape analysis for adapted to the situation and context of some selected circular products and technologies. We are working in the upgrade of Water Europe marketplace. So the idea is to have a better version, and we are now concluding this work. So hopefully we can have this at the end of the month. I didn't mention, but something very important regarding market barriers is standardization, and this is done through what we call same workshop agreement, which is sort of preliminary work with experts, which is prior to the standardization. My colleague Thomas will explain a bit more on this. And also we are working in end of waste criteria, which is one of the barriers, especially for resource recovery from water. Here there is really a need to progress in end of waste. We have contacted key players in this sector. We have now identified many of the barriers they are addressing, and indeed we have a very interesting workshop at the IWA Resource Recovery Conference in New Warden, and the idea is to continue with this work. We also have an online workshop some months ago to continue with this work of engagement and trying to define the pathways and strategy to because end of waste is very much developed for other sectors, but probably there is a need to strengthen end of waste standardization in the water sector. This is maybe more internal, but for you to know, our work packages are also designed to address each of the different challenges. So work package 1, it's more about technologies with the scouting, mapping, impact assessment. Work package 2, it's about stakeholder engagement, public perception, and training. In the second period, in work package 2, we will develop a sort of water circular economy based on e-learning courses. Work package 3, it's focused on policies. Work package 4, market, and 5 and 6, communication and dissemination, and 7 and 8, project management. So well, with the different objectives that I mentioned, we also have some key performance indicators, like the database of these 200 solutions, 12 participatory workshops, this e-learning based on massive online courses. We plan to have at least 250 students. And regarding policy, removing and advancing in policies, we will develop some materials with recommendations like policy briefs, guidelines, same workshop agreement. It's one of the main outcomes. And as said before, marketplace, we hope that at least 200 initiatives are showcased. Thank you from my side. Some of my colleagues will extend this information with the specific work they are doing. And I think my next in the list will be my colleagues of IL Utilities, if I'm not wrong. So Noah and Bobby, the floor is yours. Who is presenting from IL? It's
Good
Noah.
morning, everybody. I'll be presenting right now. Bobby's unable to attend today, and I can share my screen if that's all right.
Sure. I don't know how to. Can you do it or have to?
Yeah, let me try to do it. I've sent a request.
Okay.
There we go. Please let me know, anyone.
It's now we see the screen, but not yet in presentation mode. Now it's perfect.
It's good now?
No, it's good, yeah.
It's
Okay,
perfect,
great.
Noah. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. So we'll be talking about challenges facing circular products in the market sector. Just as a brief background on ISLE ourselves, first of all, we're a global consultancy. We operate in over 22 countries and advise over 450 clients worldwide. We're partnering across the water system, working with key players in the water sector, spanning from utilities to industrials, and also pairing investors and potential water tech startups as well. We're seeking to accelerate the water environmental transition, which is the transition from an extractive and exploitative water system to a more sustainable and regenerative one. We run an assortment of programs, including TAG, Trial Reservoirs, and the Water Action Platform, in addition to our standard consulting services. Ultimately, in terms of water insight and intelligence, we're seeking to identify, assess, and select novel water tech startups and best practices to de-risk the delivery of new solutions. In terms of water management and performance, we're seeking to adopt, deploy, and accelerate innovation and technical solutions across assets and operations to mitigate water risk. And then in terms of collaboration, we're working and collaborating across sectors to develop water security and stewardship strategies. So moving on to our particular work within Boostin, as Rafa just showed, we're chiefly focused on work package 4, so boosting market uptake of selected innovations within the Boostin project. Here you can just see a bit of the interconnectedness between work package 4 and the various other work packages comprising the larger project. So as part of our work within the work package 4, we've been identifying the main domains of water in the circular economy, which have been identified as being water recovery and reuse, as well as energy recovery, nutrient recovery, and then inorganic and organic materials recovery. These were highlighted through a selection of innovations that responded to a call for WASES, and then specifically that were identified through a second questionnaire that we disseminated. So in terms of water reuse, we have some key takeaways. We have a number of EU states that still ban reused water for agricultural irrigation. Now, this could impact the overall adoption of technologies targeting agricultural water reuse and potentially hindering their market uptake. Meanwhile, only 2.3% of worldwide total water reuse is accounted for by potable water, indicating a market gap and potential entry point for technologies seeking to accelerate potable water reuse. 60% of industrial wastewater is only treated in the EU for now, indicating also pretty steady progress to be made in terms of industrial water treatment and potential technological entryways. Finally, USD 2.04 billion is the estimated market value of as of 2024 in terms of the municipal and industrial wastewater management sector in Europe and Central Asia, expected to grow to 2.41 billion by 2029. Furthermore, 45% of EU water use is industrial. This is contrary to other regions of the world, which collectively use 70% of water use for agricultural purposes, again, indicating a particularly strong entryway for industrial technologies. For nutrient recovery, we see that 13.4% of global fertilizer demand could be met through the recovery of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in agricultural systems, which could altogether indicate a fairly strong growth prospect for nutrient recovery technologies. Currently, $14 billion is the expected revenue for 2030 regarding the global nitrogen market, Europe already comprising around 20% of which as of 2022. These technologies are highlighted in terms of their sort of impending need for implementation, given that within the next 90 years, global reserves of potassium are expected to run out and deplete. Also, resource scarcity is responsible for steep price increases, particularly in terms of phosphate rock, which could altogether highlight again a strong entry point for phosphorus recovery technologies in the water sector. In terms of energy recovery, we have 23.5 billion tons of oil that could technically be produced through algal biomass cultivated at scale from global domestic wastewater streams. With regards to Europe specifically, 111 billion cubic meters of biomethane is expected to be produced by 2040, 74 billion cubic meters of which would be derived directly from anaerobic digestion, inherently being water treatment. $70.7 billion is the projected value of Europe's biofuel and biodiesel market in 2026, growing from a mere 45.2 billion in 2017. And 40% of energy in the EU is consumed by buildings. This could altogether indicate a strong entry point for heat recovery technologies at the European level. With regards to inorganic materials being chiefly salts and metals, we see a clear market gap identified for metal recoveries within the wastewater sector. Already, $100 billion is the amount in total global environmental remediation needs inflicted by mining. Also, the renewable energy transition could benefit from metal recovery from wastewater. This is chiefly to do also with silver and tellurium and photovoltaics, dysprosium and wind turbines and other applications, and then other metals for geothermal, hydropower, and biomass technologies. We have $0.14 billion being the amount of the total $1.48 billion global desalination market accounted for by Europe and Central Asia, indicating also good growth prospects. And then we have 3.05 billion cubic meters being the volume of waste brines produced by Europe. So also indicating an area in which salt recovery is needed. In terms of inorganic materials recovery, we see multi-purpose end uses for cellulose. These include being a biocomposite for building materials, renewable energy fuel, or use as cellulosic flocculant or nanocellulose. Cellulose, however, should only be used as a fuel when no other valorization options for it exist. We also have the fact that biogas energy recovery efficiency could be adversely impacted through VFA production, resulting through the processing of wastewater sludge. And then the valorization of recovered VFAs and PHAs is difficult to estimate currently, given difficulties in calculating accurate figures for recovery potential. So here is a list of the identified key WACES innovations, so water circular economy solutions that we determined through reviewing the respondents to our second questionnaire. Here we can just see the name of the innovation itself, the name of the organization, the type of organization, and then the technology readiness level and the business readiness level. So a range of 5 to 8 of technology readiness levels was used to ensure that innovations were technologically advanced enough to be deemed capable of addressing water circular economy challenges. And a BRL of 5 to 7 was needed to ensure that business plans were already in development for the selected WACES, with further improvements still possible. Here we also have an indication of the primary solution categories indicated in questionnaire responses that each WACES is seeking to address. You can see that it's largely falling under water recovery solution categories. However, in terms of supplementary solution categories, we also have the entire array of other solution categories covered within our research so far. Here's just a brief indication of the market trends seen with regards to the segments of each of our identified WACES, obviously fluctuating largely depending on application and market segmentation, and growing to varying extents over the time frame addressed by our research. Here we have the largest projected market segments for each of our innovations. So TurboVap, designed by Leviathan Dynamics, is valued at $11 billion as of 2024, increasing by a total of around $500 million between 2023 and 2028. Water biosens by SenseActive Technology, falling under the pathogen detection market segment, already is at a value of 4.9 billion as of 2022, expected to reach 9.07 billion by 2030. And then the Sun Air Fountain by Agua de Sol will be expected to reach a value of 7.41 billion by 2029 from a value of 4.42 billion as of this year. We also have our technologies with the lowest projected degree of competition. We have DiamSens producing electrochemical sensors, Kowai producing our chlorine dioxide biocide, and then also the Wasser 3.0 system for microplastic removal and recycling, all of which have no clear identified competitors. So in terms of key takeaways for the breadth of our work thus far, we have identified potential challenges for market entry potential for some of the wastes due to either small market segments or lack of market insights. We also, however, have strong growth potential for our identified water recovery technologies, with further particular relevance towards inorganic and organic materials recovery, with energy and nutrient recovery falling a bit behind. Furthermore, we do acknowledge knowledge gaps and the need for further research that have been highlighted regarding emerging markets and technologies, as well as considerations for the influence of political and social barriers to implementation on the overarching theme of environmental technological development. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Noah, and also Rafael, for the presentations you gave. Now, next up from the Boostian project, we have Thomas Track from DECEMA, which will go over standardization barriers for circular products. I don't think we can hear you, Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas, we see the screen, but we don't hear you.
Yeah.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, all good. Perfect.
Well, sorry. Well, thank you very much. Directly connecting to Noah's and Rafa's presentation. So we are looking a little bit deeper into potential products, and that's related to overcoming circularity barriers. And the tool we are using therefore is in the standardization environment, so around SEN, and it's the SEN workshop agreement process, and I'll guide you a little bit through it, what we do, and to see if some of you are interested to join us in there. Right. So what's behind this? What are we aiming for? Let's say the aim of our approach is to foster the uptake of water-related circularity solutions. That's also what you have heard about Boostin. And we are now here focusing, narrowing a little bit further down, connecting to the wastes, and then let's say also to potential products that are occurring out of water treatment, being it water for reuse itself, or being it, let's say, products that occur out of side streams or out of waste that needs to be transformed into valuable products that could go into the market. So this is the aim, so to help solution providers to promote their products towards the market. The pathway that we have selected is so we will develop kind of a guidance roadmap on evaluating those product quality criteria for a certain number of water-related circular economy products you've already seen before. And how will we do that? We will define for specific products where, let's say, product providers or, let's say, solution providers that at the end provide products, define related KPIs. So that means, let's say, quality criteria that are interesting for the market, for their products, and also, let's say, relevant methods to ensure that those technologies provide products in a certain quality and to describe that, so that we have something that can move forwards then towards product certification. So the tool we are using therefore is, as just said, it's a SEN-based development approach that is open, voluntary, consensus-based, fast, online, remote, and free of charge. So what does that mean? So we are acting in a standardization environment, but not working really on standardization. It's, let's say, kind in a step before the standardization field, where, let's say, for new and upcoming issues like, let's say, technologies that provide circularity products can come together and say, well, for their specific technology, they develop a product, they have a product to the market, to define, let's say, what quality criteria the market needs to have their product being accepted, and also to describe with which technologies, with which procedures and protocols they aim to ensure this quality. And so this is this is all feeding into this SEN-based development approach. And at the end of the day, let's say once we have gone through this exercise with companies being interested at the end, there's a kind of a joint document that all agree on. So that's the consensus-based. It's the SEN workshop agreement as a kind of a guidance or roadmap exactly to have product criteria for a set of water-related circular economy products. Why is this so interesting for, let's say, technology and product providers that come up with new solutions or products that are not fall under completely regulated things, for example, in the fertilizer directive? The attractive part is that this SEN workshop agreement is published and promoted by SEN, by all its 34 member countries. So that means it has a certain impact. It's much more than just a kind of a document or a position that is published, for example, by Boostin or by CIRSEAU or by both activities together. No, it's really, let's say, in a standardization environment. It's valid for up to 6 years. And in case that for certain products there's an interest or need identified in the coming years that it would make sense to move forward in standardization, this provides an easy entrance to standardization. Well, to give you a little bit of an example of what we're talking about, so the product range in focus is, as you have already heard, so from the Boostin side, so the reclaimed water sector, of course, there we have to take care that we do not conflict, let's say, with the, for example, with the regulation on water reuse in agriculture. We have things on sludge, nutrients, metals, and energy. As mentioned, in every case, we need to take care. It doesn't make sense for those products or ranges where we already have, let's say, standards or full regulations out there. To give you an example, what we already, let's say, have on board or under discussion is, we've listed here some products or circular economy routes where we are actually in discussion with that they join this process and, let's say, define together with us for their variables or their products kind of quality criteria and how they measure those criteria. And some we still have in this discussion we have contacted. We are moving forwards then over the next weeks. And the aim for all of them is, let's say, to define quality criteria for market access for their specific products, and in parallel also, let's say, to define with which, let's say, monitoring or, let's say, analytical technologies they will use to prove the quality of their products, so their KPIs. So this is the point where we're standing, and that's the opportunity where interested parties that might join our webinar today could come in, could get in touch with us, and to see if they have a new product coming up in a market that has some demand for their product, but which is not fully regulated for the moment. There we could together in this process define, let's say, the quality criteria and the procedures how to monitor these qualities to help those product providers to promote their products in the market. So what is the time span of all of that? And again, I have to mention, for those of you who are interested to join us, for you, the process is completely free of charge. It's just the time you need to invest. So the work will start in after the summer break this year with a quick kickoff meeting. So all the meetings are online working meetings, so there is no traveling or something else involved in there. And we have this kind of development process of these quality criteria and the procedures to ensure these qualities, starting from autumn this year until summer next year. And we will have then the CEN workshop agreement, the document in the CEN environment, published in autumn next year, so that the overall process has a duration from roughly 12 months. We are not able to extend it longer, as all this is funded within the Boosting project to keep it free of charge for those companies or solution providers that participate, and the project ends by the end of 2026. So this is why we are limited in this context. Well, with this quick introduction, I hope I could show you that we are providing here a tool or elaboration process for, let's say, upcoming product solutions from your side that you are, let's say, having on the start, entering into the market, or already just entered the market, which are not contributing to a fully regulated and standardized market, but that can help you to line out clearly quality criteria for your products, the related to quality control processes, technologies that are used for that, and that can help you to support your products entering the market and getting attention from potential customers. And if you're interested to contribute, we are very much looking forward to get in touch with us. So that's it from our side. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Thomas, for your presentation. Now we will move on to the last presentation concerning the Boosting project. It will be done by Zisis Tsiropoulos from Agenso. So you're welcome to take the word.
Hi, just wait a moment to share my screen.
Hello?
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, give me a moment to share my screen. For any reason it doesn't, I don't see the PowerPoint, so I will make the entire screen. Sorry about this, but it doesn't allow me to share only my presentation. Okay, you can see it?
Yes. Perfect.
Okay, thank you very much. So, what we will present, we will present the work that we will do for accelerating the market uptake of the various water technologies through Water Europe Marketplace. For achieving this, we are following a funnel model approach, okay, where we tried to scout some water technologies. This had to do with digital solution, various other technologies, method and practices, projects that created some results, etc. And from this, we have to scout. We scouted already basically more than 500 technologies, and from this, we have to select 200 technologies, and according to which seems better, let's say, or more market-oriented or ready to go to the market, we will create as consortium some case studies, some business model, and some impact assessment of these technologies. Okay, and all these results and this technology that we will find and we will select will be embedded into the Water Europe marketplace for a better uptake of these technologies. Let's go to the next slide. So, for achieving this, we had an open call in which we asked the various users to upload their technologies. So, we had this call and we developed, as Agenso, a platform where the people were capable to add their technologies into it. And through it, we used, let's say, the taxonomy that we already found in Water Europe platform in order this to be, let's say, compatible with existing data of the platform. So this is the logical framework. I will not explain it, okay, because it's small, first of all, and it's not needed. But just imagine that we have and we need to enhance this water market, this Water Europe marketplace, with more technologies in order to make it more advanced. So you see here the taxonomy that was used was quite good. So we used that. So we took the main, let's say, pillars of the Water Europe marketplace, and we used the various subcategories. Of course, in order to enhance, let's say, the functionality of the Water Europe marketplace and to make it, let's say, better, first of all, I want to say that we found till now more than 150 innovative solutions, and from that solutions, almost 50 are TRL 9 products. So they are market products that anyone can buy and can find in the European market. What I said before is that we took this taxonomy, it's okay, but we also believe that it can go even further, not by adding only technologies, but by adding some training material or some financing mechanism. Because if you see the situation, a lot of people is fearing, is not trusting new technologies because they don't know how they work. And in a lot of, let's say, cases, they want to see how they work and they want to be trained on that. Also, okay, because always some technologies are quite expensive, and it's difficult for some users to take the decision to buy it. We also propose to financial mechanism to be added in order these solutions to be, let's say, easier uptake from the various end users. Okay, because if you find the necessary financing mechanism, then it's easier to buy it. And I'm speaking from a country which is Greece, who have a huge problem with water scarcity. So such mechanism is helping the end users to buy such technologies. Now, another job that we will expect of enhancing the Water Europe platform marketplace is to create a B2B matchmaking tool. In this way, the user, without having an extensive knowledge on the technologies that he really needs, he will be able to find them through this tool. So we will follow a procedure that we followed in other projects, but they were not related with water, but with other things, mostly agriculture, where we will make some simple questions to the end users, and from that questions and from all the marketplace records, we'll find the best solution for each case. So without having any knowledge, and by only, let's say, adding the basic information about their case, let's say, they will find the technology that really can help them, and through it, to connect with the developers of these technologies. How this will be possible? As I told you, all these, let's say, technologies will have the details of the provider into the platform, and the system using AI will filter all the results in order to give the best possible solutions, the best possible solutions for the cases that the user wants. So, as I tell you, it will be 3 or 4 questions, not more, in order to be the system to be able to identify the user needs. Okay, and with this, let's say, methodology, we believe and we want to help the end user to select the necessary technologies for their case, whatever it is, from farmer to industry, from a house, or whatever. Of course, in order to achieve this, we have to use the fair data management. Okay, so the data must be findable, interoperable, accessible, and reusable, because it's a work that is funded from European Union, so all this information must be spread and expanded. and to be able also to be used in other researches, in any possible future researches. And of course, we will use GDPR rules because everything must be protected and safe for any user. That was all for my side. I think that I was fast and better because it was a little bit, we are a little bit out of time, and we will speak later in the question session. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Now we will move on to the panel where the two projects speakers will discuss some strategic questions, and I will give the word to Andrea Rubini, which will moderate the panel.
Many thanks, Alessandro, and thanks to all speakers and for the contribution given so far. Now, I mean, we have seen that we started from the principles and of water circularity, the water smart society, and the economy, and then we went through the characteristics of both projects, which have, I mean, a lot of features, a lot of weapons, let's say, that can be used in order to achieve these goals. But at the same time, I think that it is also our purpose today, and not only today, to check together also the synergies for the projects in order to really to build beyond their capacities, beyond the individual capacity of the project, and how this can be seen, I mean, on a common pathway that might involve the project in joint actions. But we start also from the experience of the projects and the experience of the people, of the experts, of the members of the projects in terms of what can be done, I mean, right away, right now. And I have a first question for the panelists. Whoever, I mean, is welcome to contribute in this panel. It's quite an open panel. And once again, I mean, feel free also to ask questions, I mean, to your colleagues in the panel, to the other panelists. Don't wait only for my question, but you are very much welcome to raise questions, I mean, to the panelists. And I have a first question for you. Now, let's speak about co-creation. The co-creation approach between utilities, users, technology providers, the civil society. How this approach, I mean, can support the development of water smart products, a water smart system, a water smart society, a water smart economy. I mean, let's start from the basics. Can you share examples where collaborative design allows, I mean, to improve it? I don't know, water use, or water efficiency, resource recovery. Can you bring up, I mean, examples? I mean, examples that can touch the urban environment, the rural environment, the industrial environment, but can also concern a mix of these systems. Who wants, I mean, to take first this question?
Well, I can jump in immediately because I always feel that our projects are a living lab by design, where we have co-creation, because we as a water company, of course, look for local partners who bring the ideas, universities. We look for our administrations, our clients that have needs to connect to these innovations so that we actually make that bridge between the laboratory and the idea and the need of the user or the administration or the municipality, and therefore the ultimate water consumer. And of course, in that process of bringing a new idea to a full-scale application, thanks to our technical know-how and the site that we can identify where the need is and where the local solution is, we have this co-creation of many different parties, the stakeholders, as Itzia emphasized. We have examples in the Canary Islands where we operate several desalination plants, where there also is a living lab with ITC, the Institute Technology of Canarias, that we collaborate with to, again, identify solutions and connect them to the user. We have examples like that in Almeria, where this is the desert of Europe, the driest area, but also one of the most productive areas as far as agriculture, all in greenhouses. And there, of course, water reuse and desalination are both critical to bring that water to the plants that drive the economy of the area. And again, we work with the University of Almeria, we work with the municipality, we work with the regional government to prepare this route for efficient water use, both to reduce desalination needs, harvest the brine when we can, and provide efficient reuse, because we're actually testing in Almeria various technologies for more efficient reuse, basically emphasizing the energy autonomy with anaerobic treatment as not only a fountain of water and nutrients, but also a fountain of energy. Wastewater itself can be harvested for energy directly, and of course for nutrients for irrigation. And we have a last example that I mentioned in the beginning. Ultimate was the project where we connected in a local brewery in Lleida, again, a technology that was developed by University in Madrid, and managed to make this bridge between the original creation adapted to the user's needs in the brewery, so that they both have a reuse application and an energy recovery with that technology. So those are 3 examples of co-creation where we bring in this living lab concept of connecting all the parties, which they in academic circles say quadruple helix or something like that. But we call it the SHE that IRSEAU created, the stakeholder engagement activity. And I'm sure Rafa can show examples as well in Malaga, where we
I was gonna jump in, but I see Isir has raised the hand. I don't know if she wants to talk now, or
I wanted to connect to what Frank was saying. So these innovations in Almeria that he mentioned, we have a competency group working in Almeria at the moment. And basically what we're trying to do is connect this innovation that has been implemented in Almeria to people working in agriculture, the local authorities, and the general people. We're trying to explain to them what has been done there to reuse water. So basically, we're trying to connect this innovation to the people that live there and that are benefiting from this technology. So this is the concept of co-creation.
And we connected even to a living lab of water mining. Water mining
exactly
also had a living lab in Almeria focused on efficient desalination or sustainable desalination, and we connect the reuse factor, because both of those go in parallel. As Bertrand said in the beginning, first you have to be water efficient, then you have to reuse, and only at the last resort you use desalination, because it's the most luxurious, the most expensive technology, but sometimes unavoidable if you live in a desert like Almeria.
Yeah, exactly. So what we're doing now is involving local stakeholders to adopt this technology and trying to influence people to reuse water, especially in Almeria, which is an area where a lot of fruits and vegetables are produced, as you know, and trying to make the use of water as sustainable as possible by involving the local people and not only the technical people who have implemented this technology. So I think that this is a very great example of what we're doing at Rewaste at the moment and trying to enhance through CIRSEAU.
Okay, if I can also comment our experience. Oh, sorry. Okay, good. Yeah, I can just bring one of the stories, one of the projects we have coordinated in BioSul. It's a rich water project. We started in 2016. This project was initially designed as it's a fast track to innovation project in Horizon 2020. So it was mainly designed as a technology development project to advance in the maturity level. It's high TRL, so it was about optimizing, reach the market. But we had a demonstration site in the province of Malaga, and suddenly we came up with the understanding that innovation is not only about technology. There was a great concern between actors because there was a lot of doubts. In Malaga, it's in the region of Andalusia, and in Andalusia, contrarily to other regions in Spain, which are much more advanced in water reuse, like Murcia, for example, that reduces almost 100%. By that time in Andalusia, only 6% of the treated water was reused. In a region which is very intensive in agriculture and very scarce in water resources. So we see an opportunity, and we were trying to do technology development, but then we realized that there was a great gap in knowledge. Public perception was also a barrier. There was a lot of reluctance by farmers, by consumers, about what would be the effects of this, of the quality of the water in terms of final crop quality, yields. So we had a lot of workshops, even with confronting views, with tensions. We decided that this should be an opportunity. We should use the project to try to remove these barriers, to build trust, to bring experiences from other cases. So we really built spontaneously a living lab, because we created a network between farmers associations, cooperatives, irrigators, authorities, so involving these researchers as well. At the first place, we didn't plan to do, for example, agronomic studies. But at the end, we thought this should be essential in our strategy. So we involved a research center specifically to perform agronomic tests to demonstrate that crop quality was exactly the same, to demonstrate that with appropriate management of the water, we can, for example, avoid risk, avoid soil contamination, avoid some of the problems. Also, there is a need to decide which crops are adequate to water reuse, for example, depending on salinity. Salinity is usually higher in reclaimed water, but it depends on the place. It's very context specific. So not in every place all crops can be grown with reclaimed water. So this is something to have a concern. There is also a need of practical knowledge on what specific irrigation equipment should be used, because organic matter is higher. So there was a need that we didn't foresee at the beginning, requiring some skills that we didn't have. We were water engineers, so we don't know about agronomic equipment. So after this engagement with the stakeholders, we were enlarging this community. We were bringing in the same site more projects, different innovations which are complementary, not only about water, also about agriculture, and finally ending up with a sort of community of practice. We are proud of having our living lab included in the first water-oriented atlas of living labs of Water Europe, and now we applied for to be included in the new version. And I think it's a success story also we want to bring in the boosting project, which is also at the end about creating network and exchanging experiences and skills.
Absolutely. I see Dimitris also.
Yes, if I can also add to this discussion, Andrea, I can contribute maybe from our experience from water mining, where we were actually developing solutions, because now, as you saw, we're not developing anymore those demonstrations or putting the different actors together. But from water mining, for example, we had the communities of practice as a concept. And in one of the cases, if we take the example of Lampedusa, what we had done is that we had put all the local stakeholders together that were important for the design of our solutions. And what we found out is that we were treating the brine to get the minerals out, but those secondary raw materials were not relevant for them because it's a remote area. They don't have a lot of industrial activity. So if you are producing, for example, sodium sulfate or magnesium hydroxide, it's not important for them locally. So it is very, very important to co-design when you are having circular water economy solutions, especially in areas that are remote, like islands. Then what you have to do actually is to design with them to check what are the secondary raw materials that you have locally and establish, if possible, offtake agreements, because you really need a sense-making approach. What am I going to recover from these wastewater streams? So that is very, very important, and this is why we were successful in water mining, because we used this community of practice approach. Now, if I may very quickly say about CIRSEAU, we are doing not technically anymore. It's not a technical demonstration that we're having in CIRSEAU. But for example, in the Congress, what we did is that we brought the projects, the LIFE projects, the Horizon Europe projects, in a room to compete and to speak with investors. So it was really, really important for them to understand how they can pitch their innovation to try to commercialize what they're doing within the projects. So in CIRSEAU, mostly we're putting together, for example, the investors and the startups to make this connection and the commercial pathway. Those two contributions from my end.
Many thanks, Dimitris. I see Elvira wishing to contribute. Please, the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. So yeah, I think that just following at what Dimitris have just mentioned about what they are doing in the CIRSEAU and also what we are doing in the Boosting as a partner. So in I will have a forum or attack event that is the objective of that is to link innovators, developers of innovation with the end users, with water utilities, for them to understand what is being developed and if the innovations that they are developing are meeting the needs of the sector. And we are bringing this kind of expertise to the Boosting project. So as you have seen, Noah has been presenting the market analysis that we have undertaken to see which are the barriers and opportunities for the 10 wastes that we have selected, and that we are going to support them to get to scale up the technologies and to get closer to the market. So what we are also bringing to the Boosting is this kind of interaction between the innovators and the end users. So we will organize a IMA group, that is an innovation group of stakeholders that are going to be able to provide feedback to the innovators in the sense of is this technology what we are looking for? Do you need to do something with the technology that is going to help you to get to the market and to fit our needs? But also we will, as part of the project and as part of the work that we are doing in Boosting, we are going to create like this investors cafe, where we are going to support also these 10 wastes to develop a pitch that is going to fit, like a pitch that is fit for the investors, so they know what they have to say, they know what they have to present, they have a clear idea of what they present to the investors, which is their business strategy, which is their pathway to get to the market, to share with the investors what they need from their side, and then also to understand whether this technology that they are developing or this solution is something that the investors are looking for. And if they are not looking for that, what they need to do to bridge this kind of gap to be able to provide a solution that meets the market needs. So this is also something that we are doing in the Boosting to try, and it's a kind of co-creation, not in the sense that we are involving all the stakeholders, but we are involving the innovators with the potential end users that can be utilities that are going to adopt the solutions, also investors that are going to support the development of these innovations through their path to the TRL 9 to the market. Yeah, I just wanted to add that to what has been said so far.
That's an important point, Elvira. We obviously have been a member of the technical approval group, the TAG, for many, many years, and we thought that it was also one of the accelerating mechanism we will introduce in CIRSEAU. And Dimitris also proposed this and is responsible for part of this acceleration program that we have also in CIRSEAU, which is exactly what you're saying, taking good ideas and adapting them together to the market in the real environment and making them mature so that it can be a commercial success. So the co-creation, I think, is what you emphasize, not only the technical development, but then how do you case it, how do you frame it, how do you make it attractive for the end user? And the end user obviously is involved in that process to give his suggestions to, and that's what we do as a water utility, to work with the suppliers and say, well, maybe you change this, you change that, and then it will be much easier for us to buy.
Yeah, it's making the solution more tailored to the market and what the end users are expecting. And also this is not linked to the Boosting, but Frank, you are aware of that. But we have a program as well that is called Trial Reservoir, and we go a step further on that. So we work It's a kind of a funding program where we support innovations to trial the solutions in real utilities. And if the trial is a success, the utility is
Committed to buy.
compromised it's committed to buy the solution. So it's a kind of like a system that the risk, the trial of the solution, but also it supports these solution providers to sell the technologies, because if it's a success, the utility is committed to buy it. So that's also a way for to interact with innovations that are not yet there with the utilities to accelerate the process of adoption, as Frank said. Yeah.
Thank you so much. If there is any other question, but I have a question as well, because we have been, what I received from you has been an enthusiastic experience coming also from the 5 sister projects of the Water Smart Society and Economy Core of Horizon Europe in 2000 and 2019. I have a question which is about your direct experience, because at the same time, we've seen that projects are able to really to produce important outcomes, really to trigger the capacity of the territories in matchmaking, the demand and offer of innovation, also to build new models, which are governance models, financing models, and so on. But from your experience, what has been the main challenge in this pathway?
Well, if I may start again, I don't know if anybody else wants to.
Very much welcome.
I don't want to monopolize, but obviously we as a water company have this challenge all the time. How do we convince our client to adopt something new? We are operators, we're not owners, so we do not have the finances really to invest. And therefore we have, of course, various obstacles. One, I think Bertrand has already mentioned it, and Rafael as well, as the end of waste criteria. Whatever product you have, how acceptable is it in the market? First of all, because of its characteristic, but also because of its cost structure, because many of the downstream users of the value chain are used to buy 1,000 tons of a homogeneous products in one place. Now we have maybe a few kilos of a very diverse product in 100 places. So the logistics of this product is very different. And there's both a regulation, does it meet the standards, but also the dispersion in quality and in quantity that is a challenge for this new product. Even with energy, in biogas or biomethane injection, we only have a few hundred cubic meters, maybe 100, 200 cubic meters in many of our mid-sized plants. But in Spain, the gas grid provider says if you don't have at least a minimum of 500 cubic meters per hour, we are not interested. Whereas in France, you have an incentive, you have actually an obligation to connect, even if you're a small producer. You have the right to connect, and you even get subsidies from your grid provider, even if you're a small biogas injection supplier. So I think there's this legal requirement or incentive that is important. Just to make it favorable for a product to come to the market. The other obstacle we have is public purchasing. In public purchasing rules, you need 3 equivalent offers. Well, if you have one unique patent and innovation, by definition, it's very difficult to have 3 equivalent offers. And therefore, that's another thing that we as operators try to avoid or circumvent by saying, well, we will supply it as a service for the time of our contract, and therefore it's not a purchase. It's just part of our operation. But it is really a big issue if you come with a new product into a market, because you need this equivalent offers from other suppliers.
You mean that procurement process? It's
procurement rules are just that you need minimum of 3, hopefully 5 or more. But yeah, if it's a unique product, it cannot fulfill this requirement. So you need to be creative. And there are, of course, now new mechanisms that are called innovative purchasing mechanism by the public authorities. But we're not sure yet that is a real solution. But we know it's an obstacle, and we're trying to work on some way to circumvent it.
It is something that can be addressed or should be addressed at member state level, regional level, or at European level. in your opinion?
Yeah, I think again the purchasing rules are probably local laws in each country, although there should be a, I don't know if there's a European guideline on how to do public purchasing, but you're right, there should of course be an incentive or at least a mechanism that allows these exceptions when a product does not meet this 3 equivalent offers, but it meets value proposition, it brings advantages, that there's another way to evaluate this unique advantage and circumvent that rule of competitive offers.
Any other contribution on this point?
Yeah, I agree that public procurement, it's definitely an appropriate instrument for large infrastructure investment in the public sector to promote innovation. This is promoted by the European Commission, but as said before, sometimes general strategies, guidelines, and good ideas from the commissions need to be adopted at a more regional, national level. So there should be maybe more support or on how this is implemented in practice. And regarding new models, new business models are also relevant to overcome existing barriers. So this is also something we are doing in boosting, building on searching of which are innovative business models and how with the existing experience we can propose strategies for the innovators. ILE is working on this. I don't know if Elvira or Noah you want to say something else, but this is something we have foreseen from the beginning. The building on existing business, because circular economy products are different than linear. They need different ideas, and we need innovation also from the business perspective. Yeah, Elvira.
Yeah, just to add briefly to what you have said. So yeah, we will work on with all the innovators with the business models. So as you have seen, the wastes that we have selected, they are at different stages of development, either in terms of TRL and BRL. So each of them is going to need a different work, and we are going to work with them to develop their strategies to just reach, like a higher BRL and also higher TRL, which they have to go in parallel. So that means that maybe some of them, they haven't even done a market analysis. So we'll need to support with the basis that we have to do that and understand what they market. But also what we have seen is some of them, they don't even have a clear business strategy or clear business model. And as Rafael said, it's really important to understand what they are offering and how their business model can fit into this circular concept. So what we are going to do is do that, not just looking at a linear business model, but we are going to look at the whole value chain to really understand the circularity and how they can approach, the market, like adding more value to what as a linear business model could add. So we'll work with them to really understand which is the value proposition and to provide with guidelines to really approach the market more like with this circular view rather than just a typical linear business model approach. And this is part of what we will be working with the 10 of them together. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Elvira. A remark from Bertrand Valette about the matter that public procurement directive is mainly providing guidance on how to do things, but of course local rules might then create barriers. And that's also the reason for which I think that we are all experienced, in the past projects and the participation of the 5 sister projects that generated CIRSEAU Alliance, that living labs and water energy labs can really work at local level, and also to address these legislation issues, because they can really work in order to find also more dynamic and flexible solution that can better promote the transition of the innovation to the market. Is there any other? Yes, Thomas.
Yeah.
Yes, Andrea, thank you very much. So my comment is really directly related to what Elvira has said. So this is an initiative, something where we also focus on with our then workshop approach. It's, let's say solution providers coming up with new products. They need to go to the market. So they need to understand what the market needs. So for example, what quality criteria they have to bring in. If we are in fully regulated markets, so that's clear. So the framework conditions are given. But we see now, and that's the real challenge, to bring forward the full circularity, also to look to those sectors that are non-regulated up to now. Products are coming up. This is exactly where we are stepping in with our then workshop approach to make product providers think about, so what quality criteria do they need to fulfill to be competitive on the market? So what would the market need from them to be competitive? And also in the same time describe, so how do we ensure this quality criteria? And that in a low level, not just directly stepping into say, okay, we need a standard for everything, we need a full regulation on that, but with this then workshop approach in a standardization environment, to bring those people together and say, hey, you have a product based on a technology you use, for example, for wastewater treatment, you get out of your end of waste criteria, you're able to provide a product that could be interesting for a specific market, no matter which. So what are the quality criteria that your market or potential clients would need to have your product being competitive? And how do you prove these KPIs, these quality criteria, to also ensure that you achieve this quality criteria? So this is basically the tool that we use with the Zen workshop approach to help those new products, new potential product routes in circular economy solutions into the market. So that's a kind of a complementing tool that we provide in Boost, and that might also be helpful for one or the other solution in CIRSEAU to move forward towards the market.
Thank you, Thomas. Any other comments or remarks? So if there's no other question, I would like to proceed with the program. And now we have the last session before the closure. And I'm pleased to give back the floor to my colleague, Alessandro.
Thank you so much, Andrea. I will share the screen. Can you see it in presentation mode?
Yes, it's visible. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So hello, everyone. I'm Alessandro Argo, Implementation Officer at Water Europe. And today I will go briefly over how stakeholders can engage in the water smart society and economy journey. We already tackled stakeholder engagement with ECR's presentation within the CIRSEAU project. But in this case, we will go over a bit into a different direction. So to start off, it makes sense to define the water smart society and economy concepts. The water smart society is a concept that has been developed in the Water Europe's vision. In this vision, we see as central the value of water, which is very different from the cost. As it has already been said, water as a crazy high value, and we all need it in our society. And this value of water is aligned with three strategic objectives, which are water security, resilience, and sustainability. And these strategic objectives are enabled through innovation concepts, which are circular water, so the circular economy, having resilient infrastructure that is able to tolerate and resist climate disruptions or other types of emergencies and problems. Water use, so different qualities for different purposes, for instance. Inclusive governance, so aligning all the stakeholders for a good water management. And also digital water management, which means basically to leverage all the technology and tools that we currently have to improve the management skills within the water sector. So all of this creates the flying wheel, which is let's say a power that drives systemic transformation towards a water smart society. In parallel, we also have the water smart economy concept, and it is defined as an economy that leverages water innovation, and this is for enabling sustainable growth to enhance competitiveness in the sector, and also tackle risk and the climate adaptation, while all the resources are used in an efficient and circular way. For this, stakeholder engagement is an engine that can help and drives innovation in water management. Specifically, we in Water Europe, we explored a lot the quadruple helix and also quintuple helix concepts, which basically put together different types of stakeholders from academia, government, industry, and also civil society. Now, lately, we also have a newer concept, which is the quintuple helix that also includes the environment as an actual stakeholder, which is a very interesting way of seeing it. And these frameworks help co-create and also really manage the water ecosystem in a way that is territorial need driven and also sustainable, and everyone is aligned on the priorities and benefits of the territory. At Water Europe, we have been working hard for a few years already to try to give a shape to these concepts with the water-oriented living lab concepts, which serve as a dynamic platform for actually stakeholder engagement, which is very territory based, and so basically the stakeholders work together for the benefit of the territory. These stakeholders are the ones of the quadruple helix, and they work for the benefit of the environment. So it is also, let's say, in line with the newer framework that I presented before, the quintuple helix, because the environment is also took into account. Yeah. And so like this, we can have co-created solutions in a real world contexts, which are territories usually that are not defined on political boundaries or regional boundaries, but they are just territories. And all the stakeholders within the water-oriented living lab work together to create new solutions that benefit this territory in the first place, and then also have the potential to reach the market and of course help other territories, ideally other water-oriented living labs, to solve the similar issues. It is important to say that all this work, which includes further developing the framework, the theoretical framework, scouting new water-oriented living labs across Europe and also beyond, and also managing and setting up the networking activities that are crucial for this type of ecosystems. They're under Pillar D of Water for All, which is the biggest co-funded European partnership for the water sector. Going a bit deeper into the activities of the Water for All partnerships and concerning the water-oriented living labs. Until now, we have gathered 27 mature water-oriented living labs all over Europe, and 25 non-mature but very high potential follower living labs, we call. This network has been given a platform for both highlighting who they are and what they do. So for, let's say, visibility matters. And this has been done with the Atlas of Water-Oriented Living Labs, which has been released first in a paper version, and then we took the chance to upgrade it to an online hub, which is always being updated. And we also want it really to be a hub for knowledge for future living labs and current ones. And also we have been working on establishing the network of water-oriented living labs, which is up and running. And yes, it is supported by this online hub that we created. For now, it is in the website of Water Europe. And also we are currently working on in-person events, online events, and we have a webinar series that tries to connect these walls and talk about the strategic issues such as policy, stakeholder engagement, business models, and really give them a place in which they can communicate and they can exchange knowledge. 1 second. Okay, I just zoomed my slide. Okay, why use the wall model? So yeah, why use this model we developed? It is a good model, and we believe it is the best model to tackle territorial challenges within the water spectrum or sector. As we have real world validation. It is highly endorsed and visible on a European level. We have so many walls that are already partners in European projects, also partners in the Water for All partnership, and that are established, ecosystem with the very good experts working on them. And also there is access to a whole lot of strategic publications that are coming from years of studies and high-level experts getting together to work and advance this methodology. Moreover, there are a lot of networking benefits. As I introduced before, there is the Wall Network, which is a great tool, and it gives an infrastructure to promote improvement and knowledge exchange. And also collaboration is possible, as these walls create meaningful network relationships, and they're able to potentially also create consortiums to propose for EU funds and create new projects in which they can, for instance, be a case study or a partner that tries to, let's say, transmit their frameworks. And lastly, we also have access to a very good network of experts. So we have a lot of activities that promote these advisories on methodologies and also business models, which are being worked within the partnership also. And lastly, there is a very good strategic alignment with the SDGs, the EU Green Deal, and also the newer water resilience strategy. To finish the presentation, this is a very simple call to action. So if you're interested or you think that your ecosystem or your territorial challenge could be a wall, and you want to engage in this methodology to create with a better structure, governance, and maybe to scale innovation, you are invited to join the network of water-oriented living labs. There is an application process for that, which I am in charge of, so you can contact me whenever you want. And yes, through these tools, we can really help build a water smart society and economy across Europe by creating a really strong network that works towards a water smart society and better territorial management. Thank you so much. Here you have my details if you want to contact me, and I will be happy to answer all your questions.
Many thanks, Alessandro. Thank you for the presentation and reiterating the concept of the matter that territorial cooperation is a win-win opportunity for not only for the water sector, but let's say for the territories. I mean, to address the challenges of the current situation and the future situations that the impact, for instance, of climate change will have on our territories and context. It has been quite an intensive event today. This Water Project Europe really had the opportunity of highlighting the features, the characteristics, and the experience of not only these two projects, but a lot of other initiatives that have been able to support the creation of this new project today. And I think that we are at the point of concluding and wrapping up this event, which, let's say, to to some extent, we already started, but might mark, the kick-off, the collaboration between the Boosting and the CIRSEAU projects, along with other initiatives that are compatible and relevant to the actions of these two sister projects. And in order to wrap up and to conclude, I will be happy, to give the floor once again to Bertrand Vallet and Sofia Pacini from the European Commission.
Yeah, I think Sofia will start.
Shall I? Yeah.
Yes, I will jump there.
Okay. So yeah, first of all, I would like to thank everybody for the participation, Water Europe especially for hosting the event. I think to wrap up, I think the session gave us an opportunity to learn about the work of the two projects and also the different opportunities available for becoming part of this work. To mention, for example, the working groups of CIRSEAU, the different calls for contribution for boosting, for the CEN workshop agreement, for example. But also the last presentation from Alessandro about the water-oriented living labs. What I was trying to think, what I'm going to say in my concluding remarks, I think there is a thread throughout the session, which is the thread of co-creation that Andrea picked up during the panel discussion. So we look at the co-creation, the different examples. I think it was emphasized that co-creation is a must, or is there by definition when developing the technological solutions. And the CSAs are really working hard in the next step. So after the solutions, when you need this co-creation, you need to connect innovators and users, and there are different initiatives out there to try to help towards this direction. There was also a lot of discussion about challenges and barriers. So from the REA side, because I don't want to take a lot of time, we really welcome this discussion and we look forward to hearing more about how the projects will put their forces together to overcome the barriers and the challenges. I think the water resilience strategy gives you an opportunity to focus more your work. And with that, maybe Bertrand, you want to fill in?
Yeah,
but a big thanks from our side for the whole event. Thank you.
Yeah, a big thank for me as well. I think it was very interesting to see all the efforts that you put in place. As Sophia said, the co-creation is I think is key in this sector also because we see the large scope of solutions and the large scope of actors that are involved. And we need to think about, like we always talk about demonstration and case studies, and we like to show the case studies. I think we also need to go beyond this and to be, if we want to create a market, to really involved with a larger spectrum. So the call and the cascading calls that Boosting and CIRSEAU can do are very welcome also to reach a larger community and to pay attention that the various actors are present from utilities. Okay, we talk about public procurement and the issues with the public procurement. There are rules, as Frank said, there are ways of dealing with the rules. When the innovation can be seen as a barrier. I think also there are examples in the industry. I was explaining that There is with the Industrial Emission Directive, there is the Inspire system that try to bring innovation in the frame of the legislation of the Industrial Emission Directive in the BREFs. And I think this is something that we can explore also for circular economy and water, in order to highlight or to put a foot in the door of the rigid legislation, how we can see that. And as Sophia said, I think the water resilience strategy is a very good opportunity to explore these kind of things. So thank you very much again, and have a nice end of the day.
Many thanks, Bertrand, Sophia. Thanks a lot. I think that we really have, with the water resilience area, we have really a new driver that can help us, not only the project, the civil society as a whole, to achieve a water smart economy and society. If there are no other questions, we are almost perfectly in time for this event. So my really full thanks to all the speakers, to the audience. We'll make available the documents that's been showcased during this event. We keep on working in the framework of the collaboration between the Boosting and the CIRSEAU projects, and as I said, along with other initiatives that can add an added value to our action. So once again, thank you so much to all of you. Thanks for your contribution, and see you next time with the next events. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.